We've talked a lot about Jason Ravnsborg, the Attorney General out of South Dakota. Some time ago, I believe it was back in September last year, he was involved in a very serious accident. He hit somebody on his way home from a event. The Attorney General for South Dakota, the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state, driving home, hits, and then kills somebody. And something interesting happened. He went home, and the next day came back to the scene, realized it was a person. The night before, thought it was a deer. Came back, oh, it's a person. Then the police get involved. Now, as a defense attorney, when I hear something like that, anytime I hear about an accident, whether it's Tiger Woods or anybody, first thing that crosses my mind is, are we talking about a DUI situation here? Right? And that's the first thing the police think as well. Now, for a normal person who's not the Attorney General, who is not the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of a state, if you called the police a day after you hit somebody, they would be asking a lot of questions about that. Well, why didn't you call before? What do you mean you thought it was a deer? Because it's a little bit different, a person and a deer, and they sort of ask a lot of questions. One of the other things that they would be asking is, why didn't you call us that night so that we could have taken a blood sample from you on that particular night? If you wake up the next day, any of those intoxicants that are active metabolites, most of them are going to be out of your system, especially if it was just a little bit of something. So he did take a blood test, but it was the next day, not that night. Now, people who were there at the event say he wasn't drinking, he wasn't doing anything. But my little defense attorney spidey senses have been tingling on this one for a long period of time, which is why we've been covering it. Now, today, there's new information that came out. We covered this earlier in the week, or it may have been last week, where he was not charged with any felony crimes for killing a person with his vehicle. He was charged with 3 different misdemeanors. One was for, I think, using an electronic device on his way home. The maximum amount of time he could get would be a couple months in jail. Whereas anybody else, I think, in this situation is much more inclined to be charged with vehicular manslaughter or negligent homicide or any one of these other more serious charges that, of course, because he is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state, he gets away with a little bit less than that. And today, now that the new charges have been filed, well, a lot more information starts leaking out. This story came over from rawstory.com. Says embattled South Dakota DA was reading Joe Biden conspiracy theories on his phone when he killed a pedestrian with his car. The embattled Attorney General, Jason Ravnsborg, admits reading Joe Biden conspiracy theories on his phone moments before fatally striking a pedestrian with his car. And so, if you've been following this channel for some time, you know that I'm a free speech person. I'm a free speech advocate. I love free speech. I think it's critical to us having good conversations. And I've been very critical about a lot of the Democrats and a lot of the media out there saying, whoa, this is dangerous. You're a conspiracy theorist. Well, now we know that conspiracy theories are dangerous because if you're reading one while you're driving home, you can hit and kill somebody. So I guess I was wrong on that one. Conspiracy theories are dangerous. Not for the same reason, but for another reason, because it can result in you killing somebody with your car. Detectives examined Ravnsborg phone records. They found that he logged into his Yahoo email account at 10:20 on September 12th. Moments later, he was viewing an article on the Dakota Free Press website. A minute later, he went over to Real Clear Politics. Minute after that, and moments before he struck and killed 55-year-old Joe Bover, he was viewing an article about Biden on disgraced reporters John Solomon's Just the News website. Is John Solomon a disgraced reporter? I don't know who that is. Ravnsborg doesn't deny reading the article, which Media Matters researcher Thomas Johnson pinpoints as a September 11 piece on an alleged self-dealing by Democratic presidential candidate and his son, Hunter Biden. Well, I remember looking at it, Ravnsborg tells investigators, but that's when I set my phone down prior to the accident. He agrees that he waited a minute or two before calling 911 to report the accident, which he claimed at the time involved a deer and not another man, and phone records show an outgoing call from his phone at 10:24 p.m., which is almost the same time he was reading Biden conspiracies behind the wheel. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, a fellow Republican, has called on him to step down, and the GOP state rep Will Mortensen has filed articles of impeachment against the Attorney General. He's facing 3 misdemeanor charges in the death. Timothy Johnson posted on Twitter, Ravnsborg was reading Joe Biden conspiracy theories at John Solomon's Just the News website while driving. He hit and slammed and killed a man. hitting him so hard the man's face came through the windshield. Ravnsborg claimed he thought he hit a deer. And how do we know that the man's face went through the windshield? The face of the man through the windshield when he was driving. He thought it was a deer. Let's listen in.
Here's kind of the information that was put together on your phone and here's our times. So outgoing call 10:24. So that's what time you made the 911 call. So, and that's all fine and dandy, But leading up to that, at 10:20, you unlocked your phone, signed into your Yahoo Mail account. Also, then signed out. At 10:20:49, you were on the Dakota Free Press site. These are all on your work phone. A minute later, you were on the Real Clear Politics website. And then about a minute later, this article was pulled up through just the news, which could have been something that you were on this and it had a link to click to get you to this one regarding this. It's an article about Joe Biden and something with China. So you were on that up to about, we're going to estimate probably a minute before the accident. You were on that. Do you remember any of these?
Well, I remember looking at it, but that's when I set my phone down prior to. Yeah.
Okay. Because then, like I said, we're looking at a minute to 2 minutes before you call 911.
Right.
So, the concern being is that we know that from the time of impact, there was a time period that went by before you called 911. You had to realize what was going on, come to a stop, get your bearings back about you, get out, look at the damage a little bit, figure out what the hell is going on. You're trying to figure out where you are, call 911. So it's reasonable to say that there was a minute to 2 minutes that passed from impact to when you were actually on the phone with 911, right? That would be reasonable, correct?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, so repiecing together the timeline doesn't kind of make that much sense, right? He's saying, well, I set it down, and he says, well, kind of, but not, because there was a period of time when you had to call 911, and so maybe that was the time where you were getting your bearings straight. That wasn't you setting the phone down. That was you getting out of the car and looking what the heck happened before you called the police. So first of all, that alone, I think, would lead to more serious culpability for a lot of people, right? If you're not the attorney general of a state and you're on your phone texting and reading articles while you're flying down the freeway and you hit and kill somebody, do you just get charged with misdemeanors on that if you are a non-attorney general? Not in my experience, okay? This is a little bit of, we can call it attorney general privilege if you want to use the woke vernacular. Here is another clip from the interview. Asked by investigators why he returned to the scene the next day to look for the deer. Yeah, well, why would you return to look for a deer? Suspicious, Timothy says. Ravnsborg pats himself on the back for finding the body. To my credit, if I didn't find him, how long would he have laid there?
The next day to look to see what your
Now,
deer looked like.
I got that, and I didn't go back to look at him because I thought that I'd hit a man. I went back because the debris was still there.
No, what I'm saying is I asked them how many of you went back to look at the deer.
Right.
To find the deer.
Right.
And none of them did.
Well, yeah, but most of them probably found the deer or left the scene from there. I mean, I'm bringing it back, and if I wouldn't, I thought I was doing the right thing, getting gas to give back to the sheriff. And I said, well, let's look for, the deer. I was just curious of how did it play out. It just felt like a thunderbolt hit my car, And where did he go? Maybe he went to the other side. I didn't know. And I was kind of trying to put my mind at ease of how did this happen? But I guess to my credit, I'm also like, well, if I didn't find him, how long would he have laid there? And I told the sheriff, and the sheriff was surprised. The sheriff's on the scene at least twice, and so is the tow truck driver. And none of them thought it was suspicious that it was not a deer. I guess he wasn't there when the tow truck driver was there, though, so I don't know what he saw or didn't see, but he didn't jump up and down and tell the sheriff, hey.
Yeah, there was a whole lot. I mean,
Right.
the car was gone.
Right.
Obviously, you were gone. Tow truck guy is gone.
Right.
But we tracked everybody. I mean,
Right.
we're tracking
I would think so,
everybody
yes,
down.
absolutely.
We're not leaving anything uncovered.
Well, I get it, though. I get strict scrutiny because of who I am,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I think this would happen no matter what. Because I think your guys would be sitting in these chairs if it was somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you know that.
I did not see him the night before. I did not find him until the next day.
They don't buy that even a little bit. You see their body language. They're having a conversation with the guy. Now, I mean, to his credit, he's talking to them. You know, I mean, the first thing that anybody in that position would be advised to do if they were one of our clients would be, you do not speak. You stop talking, right? He's talking. Now, he's an experienced lawyer. He's somebody who is the attorney general. He's got this little power dynamic. So I'm not sure who the guy in the green is. The other guy looks like just sort of an investigator who kind of does this thing, and he is asking the traditional questions. The guy in the green may have been somebody from an outside entity, somebody, you know, who, without a conflict of interest, who is being brought in to do this questioning. And I think as more details come out, we'll figure out who these people were. But, you know, they're looking at him like, bro, are you serious right now? I just showed you the timeline, and you think that all matches? Over on Law and Crime, here's what they say. The accident report, the initial accident report, said the Attorney General was not intoxicated, but confirmed that he was distracted. He was traveling on U.S. Highway 14, entered the north shoulder while traveling westbound. Bover, who he hit, was walking on the north shoulder. Bover was struck by Ravnsborg. He was carrying a light. Bover was carrying a light while he was walking down the road. The exact time of the crash is still under investigation. The specific distraction is still under investigation. A blood sample wasn't taken until 15 hours after the fatal crash. Sample turned up no alcohol in the toxicology report. But 15 hours, if you had a couple drinks, the general rule of thumb is sort of one serving every hour. And this depends on your body weight and how much you drink and what you drink and all of that stuff. But one serving will dissipate out of your body as a general rule of thumb an hour. So if you have 3 beers with dinner, probably should be waiting about 3 hours before every one of those servings dissipates out of you. Ravnsborg, after his car was wrecked, drove home that night in a vehicle owned by the Hyde County Sheriff. His body was found the next day. Ravnsborg returned to the scene in the vehicle he borrowed. He claimed that this was when he realized for the first time that he killed a man. At one point during the interview, investigators confronted Ravnsborg with the truth that Bover's reading glasses were recovered from inside the Attorney General's vehicle. One more time. The investigators told Ravnsborg with the truth, they hit him with this. The man you hit, his reading glasses were in your car. Inside the car. His face hit your windshield, Jason. Think about that, an interrogator said. Ravnsborg denied knowing anything about the glasses found in his Ford Taurus. He faces 1 count of careless driving, operating a motor vehicle, and a lane-changing violation. Each of those are Class 2 misdemeanors. Those charges came down on February 18th. Since then, momentum has grown amongst those in South Dakota in favor of his impeachment. The interview analysis, the victim's glasses found in the car, cell phone use among key moments. Bover was carrying a phone flashlight when he was struck. In the video, one interviewer said that the flashlight was still on the following day when investigators arrived at the scene. So have you ever seen a deer with a flashlight? Ravnsborg denied seeing the flashlight. He previously told investigators he got out of the car after the crash to inspect the damage. He denied seeing the flashlight at that point as well, even though the flashlight was on the following day when investigators arrived at the scene. So the next day they come in the daylight and they can see it. He's out at night after he hit the guy. After the glasses and the face came through the windshield and landed in his car, he gets out, flashlight's on, can't find the body. calls 911. Oh, I thought I hit a deer. Goes home, comes back the next day. Blood results 15 hours later. Oh, I guess it was a guy. Cops show up and say, yeah, we know. There's glasses in your car and the flashlight's still on. The interviewers noted other witnesses had reported seeing Bover carry the flashlight. They also said investigators later returned to the scene at nighttime and placed the flashlight in the spot it was found to see how well it could be seen. It's hard to miss, one interviewer said. Another interviewer said it was like a beacon and easily visible from either side of the road. Another article from Fox News. State Department Public Safety today released recordings. 55-year-old Joseph Bover's dead. Shows September 14th interviewers. They asked him about the glasses again, telling Ravnsborg that they had belonged to the victims. They're Joe's glasses, an agent says. So that means his face came through your windshield. Upon hearing that, Ravnsborg looked down and sighed deeply before shaking his head, the footage shows. I did not see those glasses until you showed them to me. The agent told Ravnsborg that the only way for them to get there is through the windshield. His face was in your windshield, Jason. Think about that.
Did you see the glasses right?
Oh, sorry.
Did you see the glasses right next to that?
I did not.
Okay.
You showed me the glasses the first time. That's the first time.
They're Joe's glasses.
I wondered about that.
So that means his face came through your windshield. It's a tough thing.
Oh, I was thinking that his face did not come through because it would have been blood. I thought there'd been blood everywhere. Then now, I've thought about it.
Yeah, I mean.
No felony charges for this guy. We'll see. That can change. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. Let's jump into some questions. Hack Consulting, these questions are over on Locals. What's up, Hack? Says, we do not know what the unofficial correspondence was between the defendant and the police. There are patterns that the defendant, as a prosecutor, has interests that align with the police in order to activate a form of blue shield protection. As such, if I were prosecuting, is there a way I could use this lack of evidence to hammer the defendant? So yeah, I mean, you would absolutely want to look into this stuff. You would want to subpoena all of those records, any emails, any text messages, any cell phone stuff. I would guess that he was pretty by the book on that, since he knew that would happen. I mean, you saw sort of the depth that the interrogator went through on the timeline. Every single website, how long he was on there, all of that stuff is retrievable off a phone. We have a company that we use that helps us do that. A former defense attorney who has just sort of turned in to an expert witness on a lot of the digital stuff. And he says they can basically get whatever they want off your phone. I mean, it's the amount of data that's there is insane. So when people are worried about tracking devices, he's like, well, you already got one. It tells everything, records everything you do, up, down, left, right, front, back, doesn't matter. It's all on there. And I would imagine that attorney general would have known that as well. So if there were communications that were happening, those would have had to come from a burner phone or from something that is, sort of outside of the scope of the investigation. But I think that he knew how to play it, and he had a good poker face, and he created enough distance between that night and the next day that it's hard to pin him down. Now, did he get a benefit of the doubt by calling 911 and saying, oh, it's the attorney general here. I'm Jason Ravnsborg. Listen, I hit a deer. I'm going to go home. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll take a look at it. Just want to let you know. Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Jason. We trust you. We know you're good. You're the attorney general. All right, we're not going to question you. He gets a lot of benefits that other people wouldn't get. We have another one from Dr. Renal MD. Says, I know he's a lawyer. First question, where is his lawyer in those police talks? Yeah, I know. That was, watching these just made me just go, oh, just, cringe. And if he, if this continues to develop and there's enough sort of public outcry about this, they may reconsider some of this as new evidence and maybe go in front of a grand jury and have the grand jury decide whether to indict him or not. I don't think that happened in that first decision of those charges. I think that was just a decision from the city prosecutor or from the county prosecutor or whomever made that decision. But there may be enough sort of momentum here that they decide to take this in front of a grand jury and see if they want to indict. Pinky 2 says, I can see why he's in the hot seat, but question, would they have looked for skid marks the night before, or because he was a deer, they don't look at skid marks? Where was the man walking on the road? Yeah, they should do all of that. I mean, they'll do a very in-depth accident reconstruction. I mean, at least in Arizona, my experience is they have dedicated units that will go and reconstruct accident scenes. Now, sometimes they do a great job, sometimes they don't. And in this case, it wasn't done immediately. It was probably done, I don't know, 10 hours later, 12 hours later. So, some things could have changed. Other cars were going by. Presumably, they would still be able to identify if there were skid marks or reconstruct how that happened. And they can actually do some pretty amazing things with a lot of the technology now. Basically, recreate everything in 3D and apply real-world physics to it, put the make and model of the car in there, adjust speeds, and just recreate the whole thing. Personal injury lawyers do a very good job at that, but regardless, back to the doctor's point, he should not have been speaking there. I think what he was trying to do was, talk his way out of it and use a lot of his. He's thinking about multiple things. He's thinking about not being charged with a crime, but also probably his future political career. And they're sort of at odds with one another. If he would have lawyered up, then it may have been better for his criminal case posture. In my opinion, absolutely it would have been. But it would have been very adversarial to his future political ambitions, right? The people in South Dakota, presumably, would be saying, what do you mean you're not answering questions? Okay, you're an elected government official. You were in a government vehicle. You took a government vehicle, picked you up in a sheriff's vehicle, took that home. You sort of were using governmental resources to help you work your way through this. And you are the chief law enforcement officer. So if you're all about, punishing crime and moving the needle in your elected capacity, well, we expect transparency from you. And so if he would have lawyered up, I think he would have absolutely crushed his future political ambitions, which may be foregone anyways, based on his answers to those questions. Ma says, it was just Bambi carrying a flashlight and his large bifocals. Anyone not him would be in prison for murder due to negligence. Yeah, negligent homicide. Yeah. It would have been an easy charge. Vehicular manslaughter. Looking on your phone. It's just Bambi. Did Bambi have a flashlight? Here's Jeremy Petrino. I just said, has anybody seen a deer with a flashlight? Boom, Jeremy comes in, clutch, and there it is. Yeah, we have a deer with a flashlight. So Ravnsborg just thought he hit one of those deers. That's all. Now it makes sense. Now I believe him, actually. Innocent. All right. We have Wise One. Last question of the day before we wrap it up. A Wise One says, what is the blue shield? And my real question is there any kind of connection between these two men? So I'm not sure which two men you're talking about there, Wise One, whether it's Ravnsborg and the person he hit, Bover, or whether it's between Ravnsborg and the two interrogators. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Probably not between Bover. I think that probably would have come out at this point in time if they had known each other. I think a vehicle broke down and he was walking, or he was just trying to go get help. So just walking on the side of the road, had his flashlight on. Ravnsborg is reading dangerous conspiracy theories and hits him. Face goes through the windshield, enough so that the glasses are inside the vehicle. Thought it was a deer. A flashlight deer. Yeah. Okay. The blue shield, though, Wise One, it's this concept that the police protect their own. That anytime there is a law enforcement official who's in trouble, all of the other officers circle their wagons around that individual. The shield goes up and they protect themselves. They investigate themselves. They find, we didn't do anything wrong. It was all policy. It was all by the book. No problem there. And they just bend the rules a little bit. Oh, okay. So if it was a normal person who's not the attorney general and you hit somebody, you call 911, they say, don't you move. We're sending a unit out there. We'll be there in 10 minutes. All right. Yes, sir. Okay. I'll stay right here. Shows up. Get a contemporaneous blood draw, take a look at it, get his initial statement before he's had time to think about what happened. You start gathering the evidence in real time. But he's Jason Ravnsborg, the highest, most powerful elected law enforcement official in the state. He gets special treatment. He gets a ride. He gets to go home, and the investigation takes place the following day. Everything's a little bit wobbly now. The interrogators are a little bit off. So maybe they just let that go a little bit longer than they would have for somebody else. He gets some special privileges. That's the Blue Shield. It's protecting them, whereas you or I in that same situation wouldn't be afforded any of those same privileges. So that's it for the show today, my friends. We're wrapping up a little bit early. I want to thank those of you who asked questions. Those, of course, came over from locals.com. All of you who are supporting the show over there, we very much appreciate you. We have Takahara. We got Farmer's Daughter. We got Chris Wiseman was in the house today. We have Ham-Handed. We got Liberty or Death with some questions. Just XUXA sent me some nice pillows. Hack Consulting was in the house today. We also have Wise One asked some questions. We have Shades was in the house. We've got Cats59, Cax Axe, Ryan with a 0, CRS Lanina. We got Dilius. Then we've got Fair Dinkum. We've got Ross Cares 22. We got KT Sherlock. We got Joe Snow in the house, no doubt. SF Bob. And we had one new person sign up last night. Welcome to American_Warhawk. Is joining us over on Locals, where we are continuing the conversation both before the show, after the show, during the show, especially during the live chat, and we're sharing links. We are posting PowerPoint slides, as well as some other pretty neat little things. We've got my book is available over there. It's called Beginning to Winning, How to Fight Your Case and Succeed in the Justice System. PowerPoint slides will be there. Impeachment party proceeding will be there. We've got the existence systems, which you can take a look at, as well as links and great people who will be over there. And a little announcement. I think that we're doing a live stream tomorrow at 2 p.m. Arizona time with Mr. Robert Barnes. Many of you who are sort of bouncing around the legal YouTube space, I think we've got that scheduled. So Miss Faith was working on that. So I think we're going to be talking a little bit more about some stuff that's going on in his wheelhouse, as well as the Digital Bill of Rights. I want to get his thoughts on sort of the current environment from a lot of things. I think he's a very articulate man, brilliant attorney, and I want to get his thoughts on a lot of this stuff, especially since we sort of operate in the same wheelhouse. So I hope you join us for that. Keep an eye out for when that will be. I do need to confirm that, but it's looking like it's 2 p.m. Arizona time tomorrow, 1 p.m. on the West Coast. That would be 4 p.m. on the East Coast. So I want to invite you to join us for that. So keep your eye out for it. Lastly, but not leastly, I am a criminal defense attorney. So if you know anybody in the state of Arizona who has been charged with a crime, we would be very honored if you sent them our way. We're good at what we do. We help people with all types of criminal cases. We offer free case evaluations. And so if you know anybody in need of some support, whether they have an active open case, an old closed case, we can help. We like to provide safety, clarity, and hope to good people charged with crimes in their cases and in their lives. So if you know anybody, we'd be honored and humbled if you trusted us enough to send them our direction. Other than that, my friends, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody have a lovely rest of your Friday evening. Have a very restful sleep, a nice, comfortable weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday, if not tomorrow, back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. actually. Then on Monday will be the same place, same time, 5 p.m. Arizona, 4 p.m. in California, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. out there on the East Coast. Everybody, thanks once again. Have a wonderful weekend, lovely evening, and bye-bye.